everyone, and welcome back to Assessing Livingston Parish with Jeff Taylor. And we are back, and Jeff is thawing out from the snow. He's been playing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole week it was here.
It was cold. It was cold. We went to Washington, and so the snow part I actually missed, but I didn't miss any of the cold because I got it on both sides.
Oh, you sure did.
We were up in Washington. We had a few meetings up there begging.
Yeah,
basically begging for money. I'm trying to get some things done on my drone program and everything. So we met with some people in the different departments, the congressional offices and everything, and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm up here. I'm begging. I'm wanting to get as much as we can." I said, because our big deal is, why does California, New York, and all of them always get things first?
Right.
So if we're doing things that no one else is doing in our area, why can't we get the funding that goes somewhere else?
Absolutely.
And everybody keeps saying, well, you know, we're probably not going to get it. Maybe.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden we hit and they say, we want a drone program that does nothing but assessing. How do you get that going? I've already got the basic layout for it.
Yeah.
So now I just need a few more funds to do it. And who knows? Why not Livingston?
Why not Livingston? You're right. And very proactive. Y'all are very extremely proactive in that office. And just prior to you going to that, just quickly, you had a swearing in ceremony.
I did. I had a swearing in.
It was awesome.
You know, a lot of people don't know this. They're thinking, man, didn't we vote for you years ago? Yeah, you actually did. You voted for me back in 23. Yeah. October 23. My term don't start for 14 months after you vote for me.
Oh, really?
So you voted for me October 23. My term started January the 1st of 25.
Okay.
And so that's why a lot of people had already forgotten about it. The truth of the matter is, we had forgotten about it because the reassessment was such a long year. We started in February doing all this reassessment things and making sure everybody knew about it, that all of a sudden one of my people said, well, don't forget, we got to have you sworn in before January the 1st.
Yeah,
I got sworn in at church. I had my one of my cousins as a judge, and I was like, I got to meet you at church tomorrow. I got to swear in.
Yeah,
and she's like, when you got to be in for before the 1st.
Yeah,
this is right in between there.
Right
between Christmas and I'm up there doing my swearing in.
Yeah,
because we had not thought about it because we were thinking about other things.
You're back to it now. And legal, I guess, with your swearing in.
Yeah, we had the Attorney General come in and swear us in. Had my family, friends, all of my media team. It was packed in there. My media team was all there, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I want to talk about our media team.
Yeah.
I think we did a phenomenal job last year.
Yeah,
getting the message out to people.
I know on the YouTube channel, people definitely watched it. It surprised me how many downloads that it was getting. So hopefully that will continue as we move along. And we're going to start off this one. You just ended the year. Mm-hmm. Hectic year, millages and all that sort of thing. Tell me about the year and how did that end up?
Well, you know, the tax notices didn't go out until December.
Yeah.
And so we had pushed all the work and everything, trying to get it all done, making sure that everything was in play.
Sure.
We knew it was going to be a tough year way back in February. We started working all these things, letting people know millages and everything need to be worked on because assessments are going up, assessments are going up, assessments are going up. If they don't lower their millages, guys, your taxes are going to go up.
Yeah.
And so we really put the message and everything out there. Jim, I had so many people that would tell me, man, I wouldn't want to be you. I wouldn't want to be you this year with all this reassessment. I guess I'm built different because I was like, I want to be me.
Yeah.
Because we've got this job to do. We've done the job and we've done it well. And now I need people to understand, now it's your turn to step in here and do your part.
Sure.
We've got it to where we can get these millages lowered. And we did. We went to the meeting. Now, we need to talk about that meeting a little bit if we can.
Yep.
Because we did all this advertising from February all the way through June the 10th was the meeting.
Yeah.
And we got there and we had 10 people show up.
Yeah.
And this year I want 200 to 300. So we're already working on that meeting. The date is going to be soon. We're going to try to put that, I think we're going to probably be April or May that we're going to try to put that in there, somewhere in there on a Tuesday or Thursday night so people can come in. But it's important that you show up because when the pressure was put on, the district started lowering their millages. This year, they're going to raise those millages back up to the maximum because we have that little situation on our hands where if they don't go back to their maximum, once every 4 years they lose their maximum. Yeah. And they're going to tell you this year they need to go back to the maximum.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if they got a huge surplus, they're going to go back to that maximum.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're working on something, and I called you today. We were supposed to do our podcast a little bit earlier today, and I told you, I said, I've got information. I need you to let me off a little bit. And we did. We pushed our podcast back today because the short answer of this whole thing is we are looking at the amendment number 5 of the 2022 session that would have amended Article 7, Section 23C of the Louisiana Constitution on the roll forward.
Yeah.
It's been included in all of the governor's package that we're going to be voting on in, I think, the end of March.
Yeah.
Somewhere there. If that passes, it takes that provision out that you have to roll back forward once every 4 years. It takes it completely out. Completely out, and it puts it in the hands of the legislature, and the legislature can change the wording. It does not have to be a constitutional amendment anymore. The legislators can change that wording that says we don't need that provision. So if you can lower your millages every year, lower them. So we need you to vote to get this done. And we need these millages and everything to where we don't have to go back to the maximum every 4 years.
It's extremely important because, just to put it in layman terms, folks, if you had a $4 million surplus, you were just collecting so much money it was ridiculous, and you didn't need to collect that much money. If you don't roll forward, you lose that maximum. So this would basically take away that force to do that.
Yep.
If you profited, I don't want to say profited, but if you collected $4 million more than you needed, in the next year you can go down and drop your millage. It'll allow you to do that without losing it.
We were talking today at our association meetings. They've got one district, don't know the parish it was in, but one of the assessors was talking, said that they have a budget of $600,000. They have a surplus of $5 million. And they still raise it to the maximum.
Yeah.
I think that's criminal. I don't think that's just bad. I think that's criminal. How can you have a budget of $600,000 and you have a $5 or $6 million surplus and you're still charging the maximum? You should be at zero meals at that point. You're no longer taking into account that people are out there that are paying these. You're just trying to hoard it all for yourself to see what kind of surplus you can get. Yeah. That's insanity.
You're taking from your own people.
Taking from your own people.
Yeah, I don't like that. Let's go into software. You got some
exciting things. Prices, we went live with them last year. We were just sitting there, Tim McMaster's in my office, and David Alford. We really work on this stuff all the time. We're trying to get our flyovers in. We're trying to get our drive-by, cyclomedia and everything. We're adding all these things and tying them into our software, so it's making us a lot easier. Well, now we've got this thing called Desktop Appraiser. So we can do a lot of our stuff right at our desktop instead of my guys having to drive. In a 10-hour day, you can only get so many things done because you're driving all over the place. Yeah. But if you can do right here, and I got a flyover, and I can assess that property from my desktop, now I can do 50 or 60 a day instead of doing 10 or 5 or 6, So it's going to make it a lot easier. But just technology now is so much more than it was 3 years ago. Yeah. First time I came on here a couple of years ago, I was saying, man, it's not the same as it was 10 years ago. It's not the same as it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just growing that fast. And when we were at our association meetings, we're all talking about, we got to get this software. Well, didn't you just get, I got it 6 months ago. It's already outdated because I can do this over here. It's amazing how fast it's growing.
It really is. And technology, you mentioned drones earlier. I saw on the news report, one of the largest needed jobs right now is drone pilots.
Absolutely.
That's something?
Absolutely. And I got 2 of them. I got 2 certified drone pilots in my office.
There you go.
They are two kids, Katie and Trey. They went and got their drone certification. They are they can fly a drone anywhere they want to. Yeah. And we thought it was important enough for them to go get that.
Sure.
And so they're drone pilots now. And so we have put this thing into play, and it's quite entertaining. So when we had our storm back, whenever it was, a few months ago, Trey was on the ground, and he was flying with the sheriff's office. Yeah. Sheriff's office is trying to fly to make sure everything's safe, the roads and everything. We're trying to see if there's damage. Yeah. There's 2 different things. So he was able to come back, and we downloaded some. It was cool. It's just way cooler than.
I'm gonna tell you, it's in so many uses for it. So as we move along in the future, it'll just get crazier and crazier with those drones. But and AI, something that I'm sure there's a lot of good uses for. I know some people,
people are scared of it. Look, they're scared of the drones.
Yeah.
They're scared of the drones. You've had where the drones have shown up in the news and people say, well, that's spies and everything like that.
UFO.
Yeah, we're not spies and everything, but there's going to be people, look, I can tell you, there's going to be some people that's going to see our drone and I'm going to come back here on the podcast. Yep, one of them got shot down.
Yeah.
Somebody shot him. He's flying over and so he shot him down. You watch and see if it don't happen. Because somebody's going to say we shouldn't be over there and everything like that. But it just makes the job so much easier. We're not there to get into your privacy at all. Yeah. We're just there to make our job, to make sure it's fair and equitable.
Absolutely.
If you can't get fair and equitable, it's not fair to Jim if I charge him full and I give me or one of my friends a break. Yeah. This is taking all that out. And we get accused of that all the time. Oh, if you know Jeff Taylor, you're going to get a break. That's not true. Ask my friends. Yeah. It's not true. But it's easy for somebody to say it. Do you know that there's people that will believe bad stuff about you just because somebody's willing to lie about you? If you don't believe that,
I do.
Trust me, it happens all the time.
They would be hard-pressed to say a whole lot of negative about you in the way that you're transparent. Brings me back. I want to talk about this real quick because you brought up the meetings that are going to continue. And that's something that is kind of unique to this parish. Not every parish does this. You've got an assessor here in Livingston Parish that really goes above and beyond to make sure all of us as constituents at least have all the information and we know what's coming. We started way back in February of this past year talking about the meetings that you just brought up where not a whole lot of people showed up, unfortunately. Hopefully, if you got that notice of, hey, you got to pay this tax bill to the sheriff's office, if you got that notice and you were shell-shocked for whatever reason, maybe you weren't getting on the internet for a little while or something, this is why you need to show up for those meetings. Put a little, I don't want to say pressure on these guys, but if you're not happy with something, you're well within your rights as a citizen to ask why.
100%. Man, look, we did the best job we could do last year. We had you here on the podcast. You put the information out. What people do with that information is them, but we put that information out. You did it. I had billboards. I had television interviews. I had newspapers. I had everything that we could possibly, letters we sent out. While I was in Washington, we met with a guy that does text. We're going to be sending text out to people about these meetings, about the open book period. You're going to be getting text into your phones and everything. Yeah. This is stuff that is important enough that we got to put the money out there to make sure that people get it. Yeah. Because I don't want people to be able to come in and say, I didn't get it. Now, they're still going to do it.
Sure.
But I'm going to try to everything that I can. And so here we are in January this year. We're starting a month earlier than we did last time to let you know this is what's coming. We want you to be at this meeting because, and when you said something a few minutes ago, it's unique to this area. Not many assessors do it. There's not one assessor that's doing what I'm doing. Not one. And that's not a brag because they put out good information. There's assessors that do everything they can. But when I'm at these meetings and everything and I say I've got a podcast and they look at it and they go, you got a podcast? Yeah, I've got a podcast. How long have you been doing that? About 2 years.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. You put up billboards? Yeah. You're not ever worried about people seeing those billboards? And I said, no, I'm not worried about being reelected. I'm worried about doing the job right. There's a difference.
Amen to
so
that.
If you're always worried about getting reelected, you're not going to do your job.
Yeah.
We had assessors that used to say they used the reelection method. They called it the reelection method, which means that I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to get reelected.
Yeah.
Jeff's not interested in the reelection method. I'm interested in doing it right because that's going to take care of itself.
That's right.
And if I do my job right and the people still don't want me, I can lay down at night knowing I did everything I could do. I did it right. And when my kids grow up, they can say, when my daddy was there, he did it right. That's what I'm looking for.
Transparency of what you do is so important. People don't embrace it as much as just what you said. It's the reelection issue in the back of their head, and you want to make everyone happy, and you can't always do that. But if you're honest and you're upfront and you're transparent, that's what I want out of an official.
Look, I know people that you just worried about being liked. Everybody wants to be liked.
Sure.
Everybody does. It's just human nature. But I don't want to be liked doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I want to be liked because, okay, I can disagree with him and he's going to do this, but he's going to explain it to me.
Yeah.
And if I can show him where he's wrong, he's going to change it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that people's always said about, well, we showed you wrong, and I fixed it, no problem. But when you're in a situation, you're reading a lot of these Facebook posts, people that were adamantly opposed to me a year ago coming in and saying, well, one thing that we can say, you at least you're coming on here and you're answering the questions and you're giving out the information. You're not ducking.
Right.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
And you helped me do that last year when we first started. Then we added the others, and I'm really proud of my communications team.
I was honored to help. The parish means a lot to both of us.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can move mountains with things around here. And you're doing that. You're doing that all the way to the Capitol with some of these things that you're talking about with getting rid of the roll forward requirement that you have to have every 4 years.
That's huge.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. And we didn't do a good enough job of communicating it 4 years ago. We just didn't. We thought we did, but we got beat horribly because people didn't understand. Now, a couple reasons. A couple of the districts and everything come out, and they really didn't want it to pass because they want to be able to take that surplus every year.
Sure.
So they're not going to be for it. So they're not going to have anybody in their groups and families and everything vote for it. But you also had some publications that got it wrong, that they just didn't understand the concept of it. Tried to do better, but this year, if we can get all this done, if this constitutional thing does not pass and we have to go for a constitutional law, we're going to do a much better job of getting out there and really promoting the fact that, look, this is your money. You can either let them keep taking it or you can start fighting back.
Yeah.
And I think our parish is on the threshold of really wanting to fight back, because you read the Facebook and you listen to the posts and everything. You go to a restaurant, you go to anywhere, church, anywhere, they're saying, how do we get these millages lowered? So we've got their attention. Now we just got to give the next step and just continue to give them the information, not just overload them, but give them information. Say, if you want to get this done, this is how you do it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the communications of this thing, because I had everybody show up in suits the very first day when the notices went out. I said, everybody be in suits. We're going to be dressed. We're going to be ready for them. They're going to be out this door. They're going to be all the way over there. They're going to be standing by their trucks. They're going to be mad. We had never more than 2 or 3 people in the office at one time.
Yeah.
And when I'd ask people, they'd say, oh, no, we knew about it.
Yeah.
We saw it on this. We heard about it on this. We got a letter on it. We got these things. So all those things contributed to it.
Yeah.
And a podcast. We saw you on a podcast with Jim.
Yeah.
And you talked to us about the millages. So we had called up here already. We knew that our assessment was going to be this. Don't like it, but this is what our assessment was going to be.
Yeah.
Is your house worth that? Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I do have one more question for you.
Yeah.
So we've got Kansas City and we've got Philly in the Super Bowl. Who are you picking?
I'm going to go with Philadelphia. I'm going to go with Philly. We got Devontae Adams that from Louisiana that's over there. And we got some LSU players on Kansas City. But Kansas City's won it a couple years in a row. The bigger question is, in the national championship, where did you go?
You know, for me, I went Notre Dame, to be honest.
So you went Notre Dame.
I
went Ohio State because since the time I'm 5 years old, I'm an Ohio State fanatic. The only time I don't pull for Ohio State is if they're playing LSU.
Yeah.
But any other time, so I was there. I had my jacket on Ohio State. I had my hat on Ohio State. I had socks on Ohio State. And the place I was watching the game, I was the only Ohio State fan in the room, including my dear, sweet, loving angel wife Delia. She acted like she wanted Ohio State to win, but she wasn't really up and down on it and everything. So I was for them, and I'm pulling for the Eagles just because I like what Devontae Adams does.
Yeah, he's great, and they got a running game that's second to none.
Yeah.
In Kansas City, man, they're so lucky.
They're just so,
every call,
they get a lot of calls, but and I complain about it. I sit there and I watch, and I say, he got that call.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, good makes luck.
Well, that's right.
And so if they're not in that position to get that, so I'm not quite as hard on it. Yeah. Although I look at it and go, he dropped the ball. There was no way. And Patrick Mahomes got touched and he fell down. And he cried. All that, but good makes luck.
Good makes luck. You're right, and I was pulling for Washington the whole time because of the quarterback, obviously, with his LSU ties, and I thought they did good. I didn't foresee him getting blown out like they did against Philly,
right?
But maybe next year we'll at least have either Burrow or.
Wouldn't it be nice to have both of them?
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be a nice one?
Yeah.
Now, see, I am, I think it's 93, I am 30-0 in Super Bowls. I've been
No
able to pick
kidding.
30-0. I'm anybody but Dallas. And
Anybody
Dallas
but
hasn't
Dallas, that's right.
won since 93. So I win the Super Bowl every year. My team wins every year. And people say, how's that? I hate Dallas.
Yeah.
So Ken Benitez, you know Ken.
Oh, yeah.
He and I always go back and forth about the very same thing. I said, I have been able to win every year because if it's not Dallas, I win. That's how much I don't like Dallas. So this year is not going to be Dallas. There's no way. So when the college game ends and Alabama's out, I've won. And when the pro game ends and Dallas is nowhere in it, I've won. So it's been fantastic. So I've had a good football year.
Yes. Well, go Philly. And I appreciate you taking some time out and being transparent and informative to the residents of Livingston Parish. And as you always say, why not Livingston Parish?
Why not Livingston? And we're going to be putting out more and more information. And I'm going to be sending you things that here, we got to put this out. We're going to, because that meeting, we're going to absolutely inundate you with times on that meeting.
Yeah.
And we're inviting, every district is being invited in. They want to come in and talk. Every parish-wide district is going to be invited in to come in and talk about their millages.
Yeah.
Because it's not my place to say what they should and shouldn't do.
Right.
But it is my place as a citizen to ask.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to be putting out that information. So be looking for somewhere in April, May.
Perfect.
Somewhere there.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again, and we'll see all of y'all next time.